Hello and welcome to the Low Carb Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Holly Jean, and our guest today is Bryce Henson. He is the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp, which is the world's fastest growing fitness bootcamp franchise. Welcome to the podcast, Bryce.
Holly, thank you so much for having me. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this because we are always all about nutrition, but nutrition and fitness go hand in hand. So I'm really interested in diving into this side of the conversation when it comes to the holistic picture of health. So why don't you first tell us a little bit about Fit Body Bootcamp, how you got into it, how it got started. Tell us your whole story there.
Oh, great. That's a lot. What I'll do is I'll give you
in just a minute.
Yeah, I'll give you a high level about the program and then I can story tell a little bit. You can guide me along. Great. But you teed me up great with Fit Body Bootcamp in terms of our scope. We have hundreds of locations in North America. We're a group indoor fitness training concept. We focus on high intensity interval training. Our secret sauce is we give 30-minute full body workouts that give twice the results in half the time. And really are the type of clients that we attract. We call our dream client Mrs. Jones. She's 40 years old, has a couple kids, doesn't love working out, probably hasn't worked out in 10 years or 15 years, but knows she needs to get back in control of her life, have better energy, health levels, really lose some weight, feel good about herself. And that's the type of clientele that we serve, within our mission. So that's a little bit about Fit Body. And then specifically, I guess my origin story, I live in California now. We were just talking off script that we are neighbors for a period of 17 plus years, but I like to say that I grew up in the Midwest, great place, amazing people, but not the fitness capital of the world. So when I moved to Southern California, when I was 21 years old, I was excited to be in LA, the palm trees, the blue skies, all the fun stuff that California has to offer. But Holly, and being very vulnerable and transparent with your, listeners, I had a lot more dark days than good. And there's a variety of reasons for that, but primarily I wasn't a fit guy. And I can't say that I was obese, but I had 20 pounds of body fat, very little muscle, frame of my body, and just didn't have the confidence, the energy, the vibrance that really fitness delivers. And fortuitous situation happened. A good friend of mine moved from the Midwest. He wasn't on the cover of Men's Health, but he could have been, and he had the six-pack abs and the muscles, and I looked up to that. So he took me under his wing, and over a period of 6 months intensively, but really a two-year process of working together. He kind of was my personal trainer, if you will, without being formally, categorized as that, but really transformed my physique. But as you and your audience knows, fitness does way more than that, and that's really what kind of got me started on my foundation of fitness. So about 15 years ago.
Great. Well, it sounds like I could be Mrs. Jones, except I do exercise, but everything else, I'm pretty much Mrs. Jones there. I love that you have that figured out, because then you know exactly who you're talking to, exactly who you're serving. I am very curious about this 30-minute workouts, because I'm seeing more and more things about we don't need, I think so many people have it in their minds that they need to be spending hours in the gym doing a bunch of cardio, and there's more and more things popping up where it's like, no, you only need 20 minutes. You only need 30 minutes. As long as it's effective. How did that come about? Was it more just from your studies or experience of seeing what works with people? Or is it just, are we specifically just knowing Mrs. Jones only has 30 minutes?
Well, it's maybe a little bit combination of both, but our founder, who I'm the CEO, newly appointed in 2021, and I've been a long time franchisee. Actually, I joined the brand in 2012 as an owner and scaled to a handful of locations, built a strong relationship with our founder, and was able to kind of rise the ranks through there. But before he started Fit Body Bootcamp, he actually started it back in the 2008 real estate market crash with the Great Recession. Mm-hmm. And he was training a lot of clients indoor, personal training, and they had a new concept at some of his, gyms that he managed and worked at that really shrunk the workout from 60 minutes to 45 minutes. And then eventually he actually took the workout from 45 minutes to 30 minutes through a lot of testing, and realized that he actually get way better results. Clients would be more committed. People tend to stack wins. So I love this quote by Tony Robbins: progress equals motivation. So if you can showcase some progress, that is actually what lights the clients up. And doing a half an hour workout, full body, and don't let it fool you. I mean, you're drenched afterwards, but he proved that concept on a one-on-one training platform before the real estate crash. And this is, 15 years ago, more than that now. So when he decided to pivot, because when the real estate crashed, a lot of his clients couldn't afford one-on-one personal training. That's when really the group training, I guess, came to be. And he just modeled the same program, but just in a group setting. And I got incredible results. And that's really from the combination of some science, some testing, and really a lot of experience in the industry, how we formulated our 30-minute afterward workouts.
Yeah. And that's so great that this is what is working. So it's like, why reinvent the wheel? Like, just expand the wheel, get the wheel out to everyone, right?
Expand the wheel. And one thing I really want to add to, Holly, it's interesting because depending on who your audience is and who you're trying to train, if you're trying to train an Olympic athlete or someone who's trying to shave off a second on their 40-yard dash to make the NFL combine, you're going to have to get more load bearing workouts, longer workouts, etc. But for the average person, 30 minutes a day is so effective. And even for me, I'm a fitness professional. I have been since early 2007, and I work out even when I'm not at my boot camps, which I hit 2 or 3 sessions a week. I'll do some weightlifting or some other circuit training, but I don't spend more than a half an hour. Just that full intensity just gets an incredible result and an amazing lifestyle as well.
It does. And you hit on a couple things that I want to talk about. And one is you talk about motivation and how it is so important to have those wins, because I think a lot of times the biggest barrier for getting in that workout when you're busy and maybe when you're just not feeling it is like just knowing, okay, it's only 30 minutes. I only have to do something for 30 minutes. There's something mentally that like switches where it's like, I can do anything for 30 minutes, but with 60 minutes, I don't know, that sounds a little bit more torturous. Why don't you, can you talk a little bit about this head game? Because I know from clients, from personal experience, that the biggest barrier to working out or getting back in the rhythm of it is just everything that goes on in our head.
Oh, so true. It's so true. Like, human nature is so funny. And Holly, if I had $1 every time that I heard that, like, I can do 30 minutes, I don't know if I could do any more. It's just a really interesting phenomenon. But long story short, again, our clientele, they're been out of the workout game for a while. So introducing a 30-minute concept is so important. And then what happens is, after you gain a little traction, you get that motivation that you want to continue. Then you start seeing some changes. You connect with your coaches, and then ultimately that continues on. So motivation, mind space is so important, and strong mindset. But also the biggest thing as well is we train our coaches. A lot of people, especially our clientele, need that external motivation. And, for whatever reason, we have our clients that are doctors and lawyers, and in their zone of genius, they don't need that external motivation. They're dialed in, they're driven, etc. But myself, as an example, even a fitness professional, stretching is the weakest part of my fitness for sure. I have a really, really hard time stretching by myself without that external motivation or accountability. So from our perspective, Fit Body Bootcamp, from all of our owners and coaches across the board, we teach our people that we have to be there for that external motivation for our clients to get them going. And then, of course, progress will keep them going. So, there's definitely a few different parts of the equation. And really the last part is the mindset teaching as well. So a lot of our coaching programs, especially when we bring someone on and we increase, whether it's a challenge, whether we're offering a nutritional component, most times, we schedule a weekly check-in specifically for mindset, because that is actually the biggest barrier for, success.
It is. Well, it sounds like you have a winning formula there. Like, if you are addressing those things with the mindset and the breaking that time barrier there, but there's another element in there that you kind of touched on, but didn't specifically name within that accountability, is having a community. Like, if you're going to the same classes and you're working out with the same people, and I don't know, but I'm assuming it's kind of a smaller class size. So someone's going to notice if you're not there. Maybe you're there, it took every ounce of you to get to that class, even though it is 30 minutes, but then to see the people, like cheering you on, and I know a lot of people talk about motivation, accountability, but what about community? Like, how important is that when it comes to any kind of consistency with sticking to a workout schedule?
Oh, so important. In fact, Holly, it's so interesting you say that. We always say that we bring in, our clients come for us the result, but they actually stay for the community. Because, let's face it, human nature, we're tribal. I think one of
Mhm.
the strictest forms of torture is complete isolation, treatment. We need to be around people. We need to be engaged, and community is, a huge part of life, and also fulfillment. I was actually just in a podcast earlier today talking about like a study with a very smart, scientist who's doing research, and realized that the life expectancy of someone actually increases the more relationships and community they have in their lives, which is so powerful. So it's an incredibly important aspect, and it reminds me actually, especially as I laid down, people come for the results, but they stay for the community. A friend of mine, actually a coaching client of a long time, 10 years, when she joined our program, was Courtney, and she was in an abusive relationship actually. She showed up our door kind of beaten. She tried, not physically in the sense, but just like worn down in terms of
Yeah.
life, etc. And she tried all the programs before, but she just couldn't really find her groove. And thankfully, ended up bringing her on board, and going through a strategy session, kind of talking about nutrition, set her up on a program. And she was so hesitant, but you know what? She decided to take that leap of faith. I think it was that I was more excited, and so had so much conviction at the time, in my presentation with her, that she just knew that I could help her. And she took the leap of faith, and as it turns out, 3 months turned into six turned into 12, and she ended up losing over 100 pounds. And while we were able to provide her that coaching, that nutritional support, the biggest thing that she said afterwards was, it was the accountability of the coaches. When I came in, my name on the mic, my friends basically there, and that's what kept her through. So just validating that particular point.
Yeah, I used to work out at a gym in Fountain Valley, and it was like they kind of did HIIT, but it was also not Zumba. Zumba's the wrong word. It was like a hip hop class. I think we called it like hardcore hustle or something. And when that gym, and that was like the place that got me back into working out. And when it closed down, I and mourned, because it was like that was my thing. Because I know people trying to get back into fitness, like you got to find the thing that you like, that you enjoy, that you want to go to. And if you don't like the workout, you got to like the people you're working out with, because they're going to bring you back. So you said something about how like isolation is torture. I know everything that happened with 2020 and the world shutting down, a lot of gyms closed down. How did you guys keep it going? How did you continue to try to provide that community for people, and keep people focused on health during a time that was so uncertain and stressful?
Oh yeah, holy smokes. That's give me some flashbacks actually, just over 2 years
I
ago
don't
in
know,
March of
PTSD.
2020, when the world shut down. But it was a combination of a few things. We actually made a really good business decision about a year prior, when I joined our headquarters, because as I was alluding to, I was an owner for a period of time before I got involved in the headquarters aspect. And I was talking with our founder at the time. I was the vice president, talking to our CEO, and I was like, hey, B, it just makes sense to me. Who better to coach our owners and the most successful owners in our brand? And we had business coaches at the time, but ultimately they had experience in operations and other assets of the business. But we decided actually to spin up a department called Coaching and Profitability, which was led by our owners, our most successful owners. So we handpicked 6 of our most successful owners to be our CAP coaches, or business coaches. And because we laid that foundation, we already had a good distribution and communication stream with our owners. And when the world stopped in March, from a leadership perspective, from a mindset perspective, we had and have very strong leadership on our team. We were very cool, calm, and collected about it. And what we did is we reached out to our leadership team, our whole organization, and also our CAP coaches, our franchise business coaches, really to help us crowdsource online workouts, virtual programming. So within 24 hours, we were able to teach our owners how to execute remote training from their studios, or sometimes from their home, depending on what states they were in terms of how severe the restrictions were. And then also we were able to shoot recordings of videos from a centralized location, actually in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, which one of our business coaches lives there, to live stream and actually send the recorded copies to all of our clients. So through a combination of good planning, fortuitous situation, good timing, good communication, leadership mindset, and also execution on both showcasing how to virtually train a client and a session of clients remotely, And to be able to package that up in a recording perspective, we really through a full court press at really making sure that our clients globally were taken care of. And certainly we lost locations that contraction happened, but on the grand scheme of things, looking back 2 years prior, holy smokes, if you would have told me like this would have happened and this is the result that would have came from it, I would have been counting my lucky stars. And I still feel that way, but I'm hopefully just like you and the rest of your audience, that time period is kind of waning and we're off to bluer skies ahead. But I think that's some good takeaways and learning lessons for your audience.
Yeah. Well, and it's nice that you guys were able to pivot. And I think that's like what really was the make or break for businesses. As I mentioned to you before we were recording, I was working for a gym at the time too. And luckily they were able to hold it together, but they also had to pivot too and switch to that online and kind of just adjust rather than freeze and say like, oh no, what do I do? And I think also going through that, it made like the members and it made that community stronger also, like once we came back.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you guys for holding on. That actually kind of transitions into this article I want to bring up, and it's actually just titled, "Is Your Weight Loss Sustainable?" And Tips for Ensuring Long-Lasting Fitness. And I know we've already touched on community and accountability, but there's another topic here that I want to tie into it, and it's talking about why is fitness the gateway to success? Because I think once you're successful in one area, that kind of spills over, but I want to hear your take on that.
Totally. And I call fitness my gateway drug. And it certainly has opened up the world to me. And it does that for other people. I see this every single day in our organization. And I kind of told you my story about how I came from the Midwest, had a couple dark years in LA, but ended up, syncing up and living with a fitness mentor who introduced me to fitness. And what happened through that transformation, not only did I lose 20 pounds of body fat, put on 20 pounds of muscle, completely reshape my physique, that's just the surface level. Like it gave me so much more energy and confidence. And I became actually the worst performing sales rep in my company. I was really green, really young, all the way to the best performing sales rep in my company within 12 months time. And
Oh, wow.
This is fitness. This is because of fitness, what it gave me. So that also to put a bow on this and I guess storytell, I read a book by James Clear. I can't remember if it's Atomic Habits or Little Habits. There's a couple books out there, and one of those two references the cornerstone habit. So like there's a cornerstone habit that kind of creates a domino effect in your life, and for a lot of us, actually working out is that can be that cornerstone habit. Interestingly, give you an example. For whatever reason, human nature, we tend to go in absolutes. So, if you have a little bit of cake, what does human nature say? Well, shoot, I'm just gonna eat the whole cake and not work out today. Like, okay, that's actually the opposite what strategy you should do, but that's just how things are. And the opposite is also true. When you work out and you take that first step of health and wellness, you start creating momentum against that friction. And then the lean salad, the water, the hydration, the nutritious food just takes us a little bit better, and you're more inclined to intake that. So really working out, creating a fitness regimen where you're accountable and you're creating a cornerstone habit will really be a domino effect in all areas of your life. And again, for me, it's the cornerstone habit, or it's the gateway drug, which has opened up fitness for me, which has opened up finances for me, which has opened up business for me, which has opened up traveling the world, and now being the CEO of an international brand, all because of fitness. And that's why I'm such a strong believer of it.
Yeah, I 100% support that. And I see it in my practice too. I like how you say, like, pick a cornerstone, because people come to me, and of course, like I'm nutrition, but it's like, once you start eating better and making better food choices, you start feeling better. So it allows you to take that next step to then want to start exercising or moving your body. But it goes vice versa too. Like even if you just want to start exercising first, doing something to move your body, both of those actions, no matter which one you pick, they're going to make you feel better mentally. They're going to give you more energy, and they're going to give you that little push of momentum that you need to start making other areas of your life improve. And once you get going, it's like, I keep using a wheel analogy, but like that wheel just keeps turning, and it really does just spill over into so many things. And like once you start seeing like the fruits of your efforts, like you really can change your life. And I see a lot of people have pushback from family and friends when they start making changes to get healthier, whether it's nutritionally or with exercise, because not to say that people hang out with losers, but sometimes you might be hanging out with people that keep you stuck and they like who you are as just like the average Joe. And when you start working out better and you start elevating your life, those people want to bring you down. And that's so hard. I think that's also something so difficult to navigate when we start making healthier changes too. And I think that's one of the things that keeps us stuck. How do you talk to people through that? Like, do you ever come across that? I feel like I come across that a lot, but do you come across that with people and navigating their personal relationships once they start making more positive changes?
Oh, that is so good. And it actually takes me back to my own story. I can't remember, or I can't forget, or I can't believe, I should say, when I first started, I remember some of my friends were, kind of gave me a hard time about the new path I was on. And it actually, what happens is, and I think it's just, I love human nature. I love people. I love this conversation. I love fitness. It just gets me so excited. But human nature has its good and its bad parts. And one of the bad parts of human nature is envy. So what happens is if you have someone that's all of a sudden in your group of circle that's making those positive changes and you're not, then it's kind of like the spotlight is on you, and it creates this like envious type of feeling. And then human nature sometimes even subconsciously pull yourself down. And our founder tells a story. It's the crab story. So he was up visiting his wife's family. They did a vacation cruise in Alaska, and he saw like a crab bucket, and there was a bunch of crabs, and all of a sudden he saw a fisherman who was basically had the crab farm, and this little crab was kind of like just crawling up the bucket. And all of a sudden he turns, he's like, oh my God, that crab's going to get out. And the fisherman turns to me and says, oh no, watch. So it turns up, this little crab scurries up the bucket, but as soon as he's about to pop out, the other crab pulls him down. And I thought that was just an incredibly good analogy of the sad side sometimes of human nature in terms of groups, especially if your peers are not supporting you. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. Hopefully that story provides some is really resonates with you and your audience as it did for me. And I think the biggest thing is, you going back to the point, Holly, I mean, it sounds cold, but you got to get into an environment where you're with positive people. That's why community, that's group training. That's what we do at Fit Body so well. And sometimes, people lose their spouses. The story that I just told you about Courtney, who 10 years ago, she actually kicked her deadbeat boyfriend to the curb like 6 months after. And people sometimes like, oh no, I'm like, no, that's actually a good thing because you need to be able to surround yourself with winners. And that's just the value of community. It's the value of accountability, and the value of surrounding yourself with positive people.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's that expression, nothing changes unless nothing changes, for a reason. And it's like, if you're afraid of those big changes in your life, then you probably won't take them, or you're going to let the fear of those changes hold you back or keep you from going. I've experienced this before in my life, and I've heard it from a lot of people. Sometimes just the act of getting back into working out or getting back into exercising can be really intimidating. I know a lot of people prefer to start at home or do their own like home type of workouts. But as we mentioned before, then you don't have the accountability, then you don't have the community. So they're easy to start because you don't have anyone judging you, but they're also really easy to quit because you don't have anyone holding you accountable. So if someone were interested in getting started and getting back in fitness, what would they expect for the first time going into a Fit Body Bootcamp?
Very welcoming environment. You're going to hear your name on the mic. You're going to be welcomed in. We're sensitive. Some people, get a little gun shy and all that don't like to take pictures, etc. But, for the people that, are up for it, you can kind of get a sentiment. We welcome you in, introduce you on the mic, provide you a very welcoming experience. We typically have an onboarding program, or a protocol. So you come to an orientation prior, meet, a coach or lead coach, check out the facility and just kind of have a little bit more comfortability before your first session. But of course it can be nervous and scared, and we get that. And we teach all of our owners through the coaches brand wide. We have to remember Mrs. Jones hasn't been working out a long time. She's scared. Right. She's intimidated. In fact, we've had so many stories where literally clients who've had incredible results and stayed with us for a long period of time took them months to start. In fact, one lady, she literally showed up at the gym for 4 months in a row, never came in until one day she's like, finally, I have to do this. And then she ended up changing her life for it. But the struggle is real. The pressure is real. But to your point, we have to lead with welcoming energy, enthusiasm, and that really sets the tone in a positive way. It really provides that sense of encouragement to Mrs. Jones saying, okay, I could do this. I got this. Once you do one, then you can do two. Once you do two, you can do three. And that's where the domino continues.
Right. Yeah. The domino. It's that first step is the hardest one to take, but
Oh yeah.
you just
And
got to get in there.
you got to do it. And actually, I'm going to story tell a little bit. Just one thing from a
Hmm.
mental perspective I do every day. We were just talking offline. I just moved from Orange County to Corona, which is just a neighborhood adjacent. Bigger property or more space, if you will, more bang for your buck. So I
Yes.
was able to
Not
get a
so
pool in the back.
congested.
Yeah. And I love me some Orange County as well, but I have a little bit more space now. I have a pool, and in California, we have beautiful weather, but in the more, especially in the winter, but the mornings and evenings are always cool. So the water is super, my pool is frigid. It's kind of like cryotherapy, but cryotherapy and cold treatment has so many positive effects in your body. But every single day after my workout, I jump in for a 3-minute polar plunge. And I tell you, the first 30 seconds are misery. Like every single time I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I this? I do it. And then I get in, and by the third minute, I'm fine. And I get out and I feel like $1,000,000. So it just was another kind of like pattern interrupt, where taking that first step, whether it be the gym, whether it be nutrition, in your perspective, whether it be doing a polar plunge, just take it, it gets better, and then you get better.
Yeah, I tried that when this is my first Oklahoma winter as a California
Ah,
native. So I was feeling froggy one day when we had our first snow, and I jumped into our pool. Just Actually, I think I did it more to shock my kids, didn't let them think I'm crazy. But I was actually really surprised that once I was in, it wasn't that bad. And then like getting out, I warmed up pretty quickly. I thought I was going to
yeah.
like be freezing and like need to be in a bunch of blankets, but I warmed up pretty quickly. It wasn't that bad.
Look at that California girl, getting out of the
Oh,
elements.
look at me go. I know, but so I guess the takeaway there is come on in, the water's fine.
Come on in. The water's fine. Take that first plunge and you'll be okay.
That's right. Okay, so hold on. There was something else I wanted to ask and I just got it. Oh, never mind. Okay, so what is the best way for people to try to find a Fit Body boot camp? How do they get started? What do they need to know? All that good stuff.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for asking. So, best way you can find us is our website. We'll website at fitbodybootcamp.com, and find a local studio near you. If you don't have one, if you find the nearest location, even if it's not within a 10-mile radius, as an example, typically our programs, because of the innovation through COVID, have an online virtual component as well. But we do have hundreds of locations throughout North America, and the best way is basically reach out, give them a call, opt in the email. The team will follow up, bring you on in a trial program, welcome you in. And typically we have a trial program. Every offer depends on the seasonality of the year. So I'm not going to provide a blanket statement, and we're all individually owned and operated. But every location will have a standard onboarding process where you can kind of try the program, get coached up, welcome you in, see a little bit of results so you kind of build that, see a little bit of progress, I should say, so you can build that motivation. And then that way we're quickly meeting friends and building community and making a long lifestyle. So that'd be the best way, I guess, the next step on how to get started. And in terms, I'd love to continue to, add value to you and your audience. And you can find me on all my social media channels, which is real Bryce Henson, not to be confused with fake Bryce Henson, but that's my handle. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Okay, this is so great. And I think the timing of this conversation is perfect because we are in that time of year when people are thinking, oh, summer's coming up. I need to do something. Maybe I've been a little bit lazy over the winter months and during the cold. But I think we're also in a really interesting time in history and in the world where people are kind of seeking to improve their health for more than just aesthetic reasons. And I think they're looking for more ways to have more freedom in their life and their health. And, it's just like this perfect storm of the last couple of years that are really like encouraging people to be more self-sufficient or take more control of their health. And so I guess this is my really long roundabout way of asking, like, how do you see fitness creating more freedom in people's lives, and why is this like the best time for someone to embrace that?
What's the best time? Because the time is now, Holly. We got one spin on this globe that's guaranteed, and you got to live with passion, with excitement, and really living your best self. And as we talked about, without fitness, I mean, you can show me one of my idols, the richest guy in the world, literally and figuratively, Elon Musk. If this guy doesn't have fitness, he doesn't have health, and he'll be the first one to tell you that as well. So I think from an urgency play, being that human life is scarce, like that the time is now for that reason. But even more than that, there's two other things. We've been through this quote unquote pandemic, and COVID-19 has caused a lot of hurt and heartache for humanity. But from a statistical perspective, the obesity pandemic or epidemic is actually statistically way worse. It's killed just as many people. And from the people that were affected with COVID or have issues with their health, obesity reigned supreme in 80% of some studies say of severe COVID issues, including hospitalization and death. So not even from an anesthetic perspective, just from a health perspective regarding obesity, we have to get our nation fit. We have to get our, society fitter, because guess what? For us, the COVID-19 was this crazy, anyone who's lived in this lifetime, this crazy experience. But the reality of the situation is pandemics are just part of human nature. If you take a step back, so another pandemic's coming, another COVID's coming, another, autoimmune system disease that's going to impact your health and wellness in a very negative way is coming. So the question is, are you going to be sitting on the sidelines, or are you going to be prepared? So I think, those two major points are really why I'm so passionate, in addition to, the lifestyle, the aesthetic look, and all the other benefits that health and fitness does. But these two major reasons are why now is the time.
Yeah, I love that. And I think you said it beautifully there. It's like, if not now, when? Like, now is the perfect time. And it's not tomorrow. It's not I'll start on Monday, or I'll do that next month, or after this party or after that event. Start now. It's never ever too early to start. Just get started. And I like how you said, brought attention to the events of these last couple of years. And even though it has been like a really terrible time for a lot of people, I think the good that has come out of it is that it has shed light on the fact that we do need to take control of our health, and we need to be more proactive in taking control of our health. Because someone that I follow, I think he says something like, if you're not proactively trying to improve your health, you're passively losing it. And that's just the truth of the matter.
So true.
And it's not something that we can take advantage of.
Yeah, sorry to interject there. I mean, just it convicted me. It's so true. Like, you are literally a sitting duck if you do not take a proactive approach to your health and fitness. And, if you haven't learned anything over the last 2 years, that should be one big takeaway.
Yep. All right. Well, I have loved this conversation. I will make sure to link up Fit Body Bootcamp in the show notes, so our listeners can find the location closest to them. And we'll put in your social handles as well. And feel free to reach out if any of you listening have questions or want to get started, because I know Bryce would be eager to help you get on your way, because he is so incredibly passionate about this topic and in helping people get healthier and improve their fitness. So thank you so much.
Amen for that. Holly, thank you so much for having me on the show. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. That is the end of today's episode. Our theme music is created by Andrew Bowden, and our production services are by Kevin Kennedy Spain of Disc of Light Media. Have a great week, everyone.